nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.
Thank you so much for your time, Elizabeth. It's such a pleasure to speak with you. And
thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. Oh, I feel like we look very Christmassy together.
Right?
with Dr. Jessie Spano, it's been wonderful getting to know Jessie as an adult with a child and a career built upon these characteristics that we like so much about her in the original show: integrity, loyalty, determination, and building upon those characters. Is there something about Jessie that you particularly enjoyed that you feel the audience largely overlooks about who she is?
Oh, largely overlooked. Such a great question with a lot of dimension to it, because, having played this very character as a kid before I discovered so much about myself, at 15 and 16, I thought I knew so much, but obviously this many years later and this many lessons later in life, I definitely bring, a lot of new energy to it. But there are those kind of core values, like you mentioned, about her loyalty, her determination. I feel grateful that I have played a character, especially so young, at a time where there weren't a lot of characters who really stood for something, especially female characters. And I love that I get to continue that. I mean, there are so many more, thank goodness, that we have seen in pop culture, on TV and films, women taking a stand, women using their voice for good and for change. And so it may not be as unique anymore, but that's something that I love, knowing that I was part of something from the beginning, but that now there's so many more voices, and we're getting stories told, and women's voices are being heard. So especially, I'm thinking, is there a specific aspect that I wish they noticed? No, I don't feel that there's anything in the character that gets overlooked. I especially am excited about this season because while Jessie seemingly, is in control and typically has people either thinking, or she herself thinks that she's able to control the results of things. This is a moment in her life, and I think we all can relate at some point, where even if we have thought we could, there are moments that life takes you by surprise. And so I think it'll be fun for people to see a character they've known so well to be in control, really have her circumstances push her into a realm where she doesn't have it all together. And that's where comedy ensues, right?
Right. And just in looking at both of the seasons are terrific, and I've enjoyed them both, but particularly season 2, the writing is wonderful. The humor is more nuanced. There's a lot of true laugh out loud moments.
Oh, I'm so glad.
While within the guise of teaching us some very valuable lessons, when you look at just the evolution of the show, what are you most proud of?
One of the things I'm most proud of that I look forward to soon, not having this be something that makes it special, okay? And the change in entertainment and representation. And I'm proud that our cast is authentic, and that we highlight this beautiful leading cast. And I look forward to, as more changes are made, that being, the norm. I love our actors. We chose them with such care, and they're all so talented, so professional, and a lot of them are new. And it's just been exciting to let the world kind of meet them and fall in love with them.
I thank you, Elizabeth. This is a really terrific season, and I appreciate you talking to me about it. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Mr. Lopez, always good to see you. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The pleasure is mine. Now we're into season 2, and the oh my God, it's back element is now worn off, and we can get into a deeper relationship with these characters. How are the dynamics changing from season 2 to season 1 for you personally and for AC Slater?
Well, first of all, I'm grateful that we've got another season, and it was nice to see people embrace it and got a lot of kind reviews, because that could have gone in a very different direction. So I'm appreciative of that, and we're led by an awesome showrunner with Tracy Whitfield and her amazing cast, and I think she does a great job of blending the nostalgia as well as bringing it up to dateness, reimagining. And I think we continue to kind of just be edgier from the first one that obviously was targeted towards Saturday morning and tackle some relevant and relatable topics. But I think we do it with care and respect. We're not a issue-oriented show necessarily, but if we can make you think as well as make you laugh, I think that's a great goal.
Mm-hmm. I like that. It's a great segue into what I was going to ask next about comedy being used as a vehicle for those things, because I too enjoy that there are messages in the episode without beating you over the head with them, but they're natural and conversational, like actual regular people would talk about these things. Why is comedy a good vehicle, do you think, for communicating?
Because I think it does it in a subliminal way, and I'm proud to continue to highlight our cast, which is incredibly diverse, and I love having diversity being one of our strengths, and that we highlight. And we should be represented, especially with the young people out there. It's people need to sort of see themselves represented on screen. At the end of the day, I think the show is entertaining, and hopefully we leave audiences entertained and they have fun while they watch it.
Mm-hmm. A humble AC Slater is still a cool AC Slater. All versions of AC Slater that we've had in the original show and this reimagining of the show has been terrific. What's something you've always liked about this character that just keeps you coming back?
Well, the in this reimagining version, it's fun because he's a flawed guy, and he's one of those guys that sort of stuck in his era. He listens to the same music, dresses in the same clothes, has the same game, and that's a fun and funny character to play. If he had it all going on and was all buttoned up and didn't have many struggles in it, it wouldn't be as much fun. But he tries to grow as an individual and gets a little emotional this season. So I had a lot of fun exploring that.
Absolutely. And lastly, I must ask you, because I know you're a boxing guy, I've watched your other shows too. Canelo versus Plant, what did you think this weekend?
It was great. I mean, he made history, and obviously I'm a proud guy being Mexican and him representing us. And I think he's a class act, and he's a champion's champion. And Plant, I thought, fought well and defensively did a really good job, but just I think the steady pressure and breaking him down. He took him out of there, and it was nice to see the sportsmanship at the end. So thanks for asking me. I'm glad you're a fight fan.
Oh yeah, big time. Well, thank you for your time. I too enjoyed the fight. I went out for it, and I'm excited for people to see season 2 of the show. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. You got it.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you guys back for season 2. A very, very funny season 2. I had some serious LOL moments over the course of the episode, not the pretend ones. Beginning with you, Haskiri, there is a lot of great messaging now that we've got the oh my God, it's back feeling. We can really get in deep with these characters. Why do you think comedy is such a good vehicle for communicating these messages with the audience without banging them over the head with it?
Yeah, I think everyone, when it comes to comedy, I think everyone puts their guards down and they allow themselves to be in the moment and really hear out what's happening, hear that pun of the joke or something like that. I think Tracy did such a good job, no matter what she's talking about, to make it so lighthearted and uninvasive, and make it so that you actually want to sit through this TV show and see the outcome of whatever it is that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. with you, Mitchell, I like what you're doing for Mac. You know, everyone thinks it's Zach 2.0, but you're really bringing your own thing to the character and his own identity. What has that process been like for you? For people when I'm like, oh, it's just Zach's kid, he's just going to do the exact same thing. What do you think are the biggest differences between Mac and Zach?
I think season 1 it was harder to find a difference, but season 2 you can definitely kind of see which roads we're both going down. I think one of the biggest things is all the Douglas kids taught Mac that, hey, what you have is not normal. You can't just go around and, you know, kind of humiliate people for your own laugh. And that I'm kept on constantly. And I think the arc over the second season is very, very grounding. I feel like I'm speaking from a different place compared to season 1. And it's coming from a place of wanting a relationship with my dad and with Zach, but also wanting to develop my own name when it comes to the spirit competition and just trying to find my own shoes.
I like that. It's this season is really it's really been elevating it for me, and it being a whole nother beast than the original show that I enjoyed. And I mean, the writing has been really, really good and really, really funny. Back to you, Haskiri, for Daisy, I think a lot of kids can relate to the high performing, the pressures of the family and being the first to venture out potentially and be the success story for the family. What do you admire most about Daisy? And is there an opportunity for her to kind of find that balance and be a kid and be fun and still maintain these pressures that are at home, even though they're not blatantly told to us?
Yeah, I think the thing I love about Daisy is just her work ethic. I think no matter what she comes across or how much she has on her plate, or, you know, if she's about to pull her hair out because she just feels like she can't take it, I think she finds it within herself, the strength from her family and the strength from her fellow Bayside kids or, you know, her Douglas kids to kind of push through. And I think she leans a lot on those people around her for that uplifting feeling. And I think, you know, she does apply a lot of pressure on herself, but it's not only for herself. She applies this pressure because she wants it for her Douglas kids to feel welcomed at Bayside, to know that, you know, no matter what they're going through, we can overcome whatever it is. And I think she will definitely find that balance from, okay, this is schoolwork, I can chill, I can have fun, I can be a normal teen and explore these feelings, but still being focused and not lose track of who she is and the reason why she's doing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, Mitchell, for you, for Mac, as we deepen our relationship with him and we learn about the dynamic between him and his dad, Zach, what do you think is Zach's biggest blind spot that's kind of preventing their relationship to be closer, to it not being so alpha? So we're competing, like who's prettier? You know, what is the biggest blind spot, I think, that do you think that Zach has that's kind of stymieing him and Mac's relationship?
Yeah, great question. I think that the biggest thing is just time. I feel like there's not enough time that I think I've spent with my dad, and that's due to him being governor and all of that, where there's also a separation when it comes to the last name. It's like he wants me to fall. I only get validation from what he thinks is right, like the pranks and planning different things where, you know, if I'm making a prank, I don't want his help. I want my own life. I want my own last name, and I want Mac. I don't want to be Zach. So I feel like the ideology of a prank is the biggest thing, because he always wants to help. I'm like, no, like I don't need that.
I'm gonna start calling him Malcolm. I'm gonna start calling you Malcolm now. Every time I see you on the screen, I'm gonna stop calling you Mac. I'm like, go ahead, Malcolm Morris, get it.
Go, Malcolm, come on.
Well, thank you guys for your time. This season is so good and really, really funny. And I thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so
Hi.
much.
Nice to see you again.
I'm happy to see the both of you too.
I was about to say, it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like, you know, bring it in, kid. Bring it in, everybody.
Yes.
this season is really, really funny. I enjoyed season 1, but I feel like season 2 is really stepping up the comedy aspect while still putting in the messages that we need and just using comedy as a vehicle in general. And you all did really, really good. Alycia, beginning with you, something that stuck out to me about the season is something I think about, no one ever talks about, when you're kind of forced to use your voice even when you don't want to, or you become the Black designee for all Black voices, or the Latino designee for all Latino voices. And that's something that's kind of touched on in the episodes that I really, really enjoy. What were some of your favorite moments over the season? And what do you think of going down that road of being the designee for people when you can't be the designee for all people?
Ooh, thank you for that question. I love that question. You know,
too.
as an artist, I felt really honored to tell stories and have storylines within this season that I cared about, and I haven't seen enough in media, frankly. And you know, whenever I'm in an interview, I say it all the time, and I've expanded on my idea on this in other interviews. Like, when I speak as a Black woman and about my experience, I cannot speak for every Black person because we are not a monolith. We are not one. You know what I mean? And mind you, one of my favorite storylines this season is Devante's, is Dexter's. You know, he finds himself in a relationship with a Black woman, and I love to see young Black love that, you know, isn't rooted in trauma. And they have this moment where they confront each other and they realize that they view the world differently because they're from different socioeconomic statuses. And that allows us to have the conversation that as Black people, we have that camaraderie and that unity of, you know, our African roots. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we're all the same. And we need to learn from each other. And that's why the importance of conversations and intersectionality is imperative. And specifically for my character, I was super grateful. I get to touch on so many topics. I get to reckon with my sexuality and coming out for the first time, which I think is beyond important, especially because I haven't seen that growing up, queer Black people and queer Black women. And in addition to that, as an Afro-Latina, you know, I got emotional when I read La Guerra de Aisha, that episode, because we get to talk about something I've never seen before. You know, I have to deal with the stigma of people judging my Spanish because it sounds differently than what we're accustomed to hearing from a Latina. And you see Aisha have to advocate for herself in the classroom because she is a Black Latina. You know what I mean? And because the world perceives her in a different way because of that. So yeah, I can go on for a minute because I'm proud of this season and certain narratives that I got to explore. So I'm excited to see people interact with this season and hopefully feel empowered by the storylines that we got to portray.
Mm-hmm. I love that for you, Dexter, that they keep giving you these storylines. In the first season, it's all Black guys are not gangsters. Everybody is just not gangster like that. And then now in this season, again, a relationship with a sister who is of means. And there's always that archetype of Black people in shows where we're either hella poor or we're hella rich, and there's no layer in between there. So going down the road with this season for you, what was important for you to convey, and what did you like most about being able to tackle these nuances of maneuvering while Black in all these different places?
So you see, this is why I like sitting down with you, because the conversation gets real. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is what's so important. And I'm so happy that you take away from our show what, like, not only the production team, but us as creatives and us as cast members really would like to portray these messages. Because I think it's so important. So often that you don't really ever see two communities collide, you know, and or people in the same community or of the same ethnic background or the same skin color having a conversation about how sometimes people from more poverty-stricken areas don't necessarily get to sit down with somebody from a more affluent area, even though they look exactly the same. And I think it's hard because I think that's what's important. It's important to have those kind of conversations to bridge the gap. It's important to have those kind of conversations to unite us as a community. So if Saved by the Bell can do anything, I just hope that people take that home, you know, take it home like you did, just in terms of being having your thoughts being provoked and awakened to the opportunity to have a conversation with somebody that may look like you, but come from a different background or upbringing. And that's important. So it's an honor for me as Devante to kind of be able to break that third wall a little bit of, you know, the reality of what life is like for somebody coming from one community, but the simultaneously the reality of what it means just being Black, and how important it is that we sit down with each other to talk about how unified we can really move mountains. And that's one thing that's important to me. So I love that you bring that home when watching our show.
You know, it's a lot of being very, very seen, because like you both mentioned, Alycia, there are things you didn't see about your Spanish not being proper enough. I see that with friends of mine who are Latina or Afro-Latina or all varieties, Mexicans. I live here in Los Angeles who are second gen, or Dexter with you, with your character's relationship with someone of me. Because I've been that kid who went to private school, who, yeah, I'm in the school, but I'm definitely poor.
Yeah.
And I can't relate to these Black kids who got caught. I mean, you cannot relate. And no one tackles these nuances like that.
And also, and even the opportunity of Devante, like being musically gifted, but not necessarily using that as immediate escape out of high school. You know, when he finds out that he can sing, and like, you know, growing up with me being a singer, like when I'm finding out that I can have the opportunities to yes, I can do music for a living, or yes, I might be able to shoot a basketball better than somebody else, but I don't have to. I can stick it out. I can get my degree. I can end up understanding what I want to do with the rest of my life. And I think it's so important that all of that is represented on television. And so being a part of a show that does that is really important.
Always a pleasure to talk to both of you.
So great.
We appreciate you, sis. You have a blessed day. Thank you so much.
Both of you.
And that blue is popping. Don't you? You look great. Come on.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. We're into a second season now, beginning with you, Josie. Now that the, oh my God, it's back has worn off, what does going into season 2 look like for you personally and for your character, Lexi?
I just think it's cool that we like get to know these characters a little bit more deeper. Now that everything's sort of, the ground has been laid, things have been planted, and we get to sort of like cosplay them a little bit more and throw them into these new battles. And yeah, I mean, season 2 is just so fun. It felt like sophomore year of high school, just going back with all your favorite people and getting to play around. I really like it. I think it's really good.
Yeah, it's really funny. There was a line that you said in one of the, I won't say which episode it is, but it was, I'm the helpingest bitch in this bitch. And I fell, that was the funniest line to me in several episodes, because that was terrific. So very good.
Thank
Great
you.
Delivery.
Thank you so much.
Hilarious.
I appreciate that. And that was a great delivery yourself, by the way.
Thank you, because that's part of my normal vernacular. That's why it was so funny.
I apologize for appropriating.
Belmont, for you, there's going to be more hijinks and shenanigans, you know, for the Bayside kids as we become accustomed to. But do you feel like this is a new nostalgia that you're creating for Bayside? You know, us people in my age group have our own nostalgia for Bayside and what it was like in the old show. So is this a new nostalgia building for this era of Saved by the Bell for you?
I think so. I think anytime you can capture real experience, especially in such a strange time in everybody's lives as high school, I think those things typically ring true as nostalgic in the long run. And what we're doing is really special. The show is, the reimagining is really funny. Season 2 is written very well. Everybody's really well involved. There's a lot of good things to look back on. There's a lot of good flashback jokes and Easter eggs, like there was in season 1, even more now. And the comedy is still extremely self-aware, if not more self-aware. There's a lot to appreciate, and I think so. I think there is a new nostalgia that we're building.
I agree, and within that, there's a lot to share. I love when comedy is a vehicle for communicating important messages, and that's done very well. There's a lot of serious things being told comedically this season. Josie, back for you. There's going to be increased opportunity to educate people on what's happening. What did you think when you read some of the scripts for this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so fun and a great privilege that we get to be a show that's, I think, is really funny, but also gets to tell conversations and stories that are prevalent to today. And this season, I got to sit in the writer's room a lot, and I got to be a part of building those conversations, which was really fun for not only like myself and my character, but for like Alycia in episode 7, and getting to touch on her heritage and her culture and how it relates to how teachers tend to whitewash the Spanish language in order to conform it to their liking and their curriculum, which is a very real thing that's happening. So across the board, I mean, it's just been, it was really fun to get to tell those stories. And I'm really proud of our show for doing it in a way that I think is authentic, that's not tokenizing these stories, and that is also entertaining and ultimately funny.
I could not agree more. Well, I apologize for my dog going crazy.
Look, you're so fine. Don't worry about it.
This season is so good. It's so funny, and all the little gems of education and information embedded in are fantastic. And I enjoy both of you in it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Honored to talk to you. Appreciate that.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.